People might think it's a good idea to build their cities close to water, but if some unforeseen events take place, the substance that brings us life could ultimately bring our demise. Ancient cities have been discovered underwater, which makes many people curious how exactly that could happen. From cities that require some scuba gear to visit, to places that have been flooded permanently, here are the most unbelievable underwater cities. Hey guys, how's it going? I'm your host, American Eye, keeping an eye on everything you want to know. Number 13. The Gia Mahal, India. The Gia Mahal is located in the partially underwater city of Jaipur, and it's located in the middle of the man-made Sagar Lake, located in the country of India. It doesn't seem like it makes too much sense to build your palace in the middle of a lake, but that's just how it turned out. The beautiful structure shows the Rajput style of architecture. A total of 4 stories are underwater, and it was a result of a dam being built nearby. The palace has suffered from substantial destruction, but many Indians are employed to keep it in the best condition possible. It almost seems like a lost cause, though. There has already been much pollution in the lake, but that doesn't stop all the urban explorers who want to check it out. Some might even consider taking a boat out there to get an up-close and personal view of it for themselves. Number 12. Potosi, Venezuela. This small town in the country of Venezuela was purposely flooded by the government in 1985 in order for them to build a hydroelectric dam. People were forced to leave their property. About 1,200 people need to relocate under very short notice. A man named Josefa Garcia came back here after the city was flooded, and what he found was shocking. Only the steeple of this church still remained. To give you an idea, the very top part of the steeple is 85 feet high, so this place was pretty flooded. After a drought occurred here, the water level sunk, and parts of the town were revealed again. Here's what the church looked like after it resurfaced once again. Number 11. Kailköy, Turkey. Partially sunken ruins of an ancient city known as Dulcis was sent to its watery grave by an earthquake during the 2nd century AD. It was first inhabited by the Lycians and then later on inhabited by the Byzantines. A majority of the city was rebuilt by them after tragedy struck. Even though much time has passed by, a large amount of the ruins are still underwater. You can still see a lot of the ruins if you do a little bit of snorkeling or scuba diving. Before the Byzantines arrived, it was home to an ancient Lycian settlement known as Aprile, which thrived for its role in trading dye. As the city was beginning to flourish once again after the earthquake, it was quickly invaded by Saracens. Located in modern-day Turkey, it became a part of the Byzantine Empire. It was left abandoned when it was getting overrun by invaders to the east. The ruins are located next to the city of Kailköy. Number 10. Port Royale. Port Royale is an infamous site for pirates, and some of the most notorious moments in pirate history took place in this town. One of the most famous pirates to step foot here was Calico Jack, who was known for recruiting female pirates. Their successful pirating run wouldn't last for too long, however, and a hunting boat eventually captured him and his rum-fueled crew in 1720. Calico Jack was hanged in Port Royale, Jamaica, while his female crew were spared since they were pregnant. The port was known for its booze and all kinds of entertainment. It was almost like the Wild West of the Caribbean, which made it a hotspot for pirates. It was eventually devastated by a huge earthquake in 1692, which brought it underwater. Much of the foundations are under sand at the moment. Number 9. Lago di Teresa, underwater towns. The town underneath the Lago di Teresa in Italy, near the border with Switzerland and Germany, is evidence that something beautiful can be enough to cover up some creepy things. This picturesque artificial lake is the largest lake in the Alps, with an elevation of over 1,000 meters. But don't let its sneaky charm fool you. The lake has submerged a total of 163 homes, and a church bell tower was the only thing tall enough to still see daylight. Creation of a dam nearby in 1940 began, which would unify 2 natural lakes. But the locals of the area sternly resisted this idea. There aren't a ton of photos of the villages that were submerged, but you can use your imagination. It's possible that diving here is not allowed. The tower itself has become a unique tourist attraction for many. It's definitely a strange sight to behold when the lake freezes over during winter. Some claim to still hear the church's bells ring during wintertime. Number 8. Pavlopi. One of the oldest submerged cities in the world that we know about is located in the Mediterranean Sea off the southern coast of Greece. It's estimated that the city is at least 5,000 years old, but it wasn't until the late 1960s that people actually knew of its existence. The origins date back to the Mycenaean period at first, but further investigation would reveal that it was at least 4,800 years old. It was likely submerged due to an earthquake that happened around 1000 BC. This would put it back into the early Bronze Age and Stone Age, making it critical to understand and preserve. So far, about 15 buildings have been discovered, but it's very possible that it was much bigger than that. It could be under threat to boats dragging their anchors and from scuba divers collecting artifacts. Number 7. The land of Mu. Many people still theorize that the Pacific Ocean was actually home to a much larger continent that you don't see anymore. Maybe the reason why there are so many islands in the Pacific is that they were all connected at one point in time and existed on a common landmass until a disaster struck. Some feel as though ancient wonders such as Easter Island statues have been created by an advanced superculture who lives somewhere else on this lost continent. Others speculate that this would have been home to Atlantis, and that the disaster would have taken place around the same time as humans began to advance in technology. Other underwater structures, such as the Yonaguni Monument, which we'll get to later, are seemingly man-made. Some claim that these could be remnants of the Mu continent. What do you believe about this theory? Number 6. Gia Mana Romania. A once beautiful little Romanian village was swept away by orange toxic sludge in the late 1970s. People had no choice but to abandon it. The stubborn town villagers initially refused to leave their homes, but when large amounts of copper ore was uncovered, the Soviet Union had the upper hand in what happened. The communist dictator ordered that all those who lived there flee their homes, so they could flood the entire Gia Mana Valley with a slew of toxic waste. If you're even thinking about taking a swim here, you'd be certainly looking for a death wish. The polluted lake contains cyanide, lead, and mercury. Here you can see the steeple of the church barely popping out from underneath the toxic sludge, giving you an idea of how deep the lake is. Number 5. The Lost Egyptian Underwater City. The lost Egyptian city of Heraklion mysteriously vanished below the Mediterranean Sea, and was considered to be a major port city in order to access the Nile River. This unbelievable discovery includes more than 64 boats buried beneath thick clay. There was also gold coins, a giant 16-foot statue, slabs of Greek and Egyptian texts, and more. What could have possibly caused the submergence of an entire city, you may ask? Researchers suspect a rise in sea level attributed to this. Also, liquefaction of the soil played a role. This means the ground basically turned to mud. No one is exactly sure how it ended up underwater. Something like an earthquake can easily cause this, though. These remarkable discoveries will be preserved and researched in order to learn more about this unique and amazing culture. Number 4. Lake Mead Ghost Town. As water levels reached an all-time low at Lake Mead due to a severe drought in recent years, this reveals a ghost town. Each year, Las Vegas's water supply seems to diminish slowly, and things that were once underwater are now popping up, even small cities. Unbelievable but true. The abandoned town of St. Thomas is now visible and can soak up the sun. People fled their homes when the Hoover Dam was built. It blocked the water flow, and in 1938, this city was submerged and was even below 60 feet of water. Founded in 1865, this is also one of the oldest cities in southern Nevada, even older than Sin City by 40 years. Tourists can now visit the ruins of this ghost town. Just goes to show you how fast water can go missing in the desert. Number 3. The Yonaguni Monument. Strange underwater rock formations were discovered in Japan in 1987 that appear to reveal very smooth and flat edges, almost as if they were man-made. What's even more interesting about this site is that geologists believe that this area of land could have been above water around 8 to 10,000 years ago. This certainly helps support the theory that the smooth, flat edges are no strange coincidence. If it was actually constructed by humans, which people are still debating, it would be the oldest known structure on Earth. This would drastically change many theories about the first civilization being in Sumeria, and people's minds would be simply blown. Number 2. The Lion City. Also known as the Chinese Atlantis, the ancient city was once a powerful center of politics and an economical trade center in the eastern province of Zhejiang. It is now at the bottom of a lake called Qiandao that was a result of a new hydroelectric power station. Surrounded by the Lion Mountains, it was dubbed as Lion City and is below 131 feet of water. Divers have revisited this majestic city and hope to make it a new tourist attraction in China. It still remains in great condition. In this photo, you can see what the city would have looked like hundreds of years ago. You can still see a great deal of the statues and architecture from 1400 years ago. With all the intricate carving, this would make an excellent place for scuba diving. And before we get to our number 1, let us know in the comments section what place you would like to visit on this list, and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. And number 1, Venice. So what cities in the future might go underwater, and eventually make their way into an American eye list for underwater places? This city is literally sinking into the water as we're speaking, and the tourism certainly isn't making anything better. The soil in which the city was built on isn't very firm, and it seems to be a question of when, rather than if, it's going to happen. Italian officials are doing all they can, but it appears to be a lost cause. Recently, there seems to be even more flooding than before, and in some parts of the city, there seems to be at least knee-high water in some places. Many tourists were seen walking around with their boots covered in plastic, trying to get to their next destination. Does this seem like a city you'd want to visit? Whoa, now that was a cool video. Make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.